All right, guys, we're down here with Snickers for our final week 3 video recap. I know I'm coming in. I'm coming back in. All right, so we're going to start this week's recap by getting our puppies dressed in our harnesses right away. I am just going to start by charging our clicker a couple of times. Hi, yeah, you ready? Good girl. Good girl, Snickers. Look at that tail wag. You ready? Good girl. Okay, so I just charged our clicker a couple reps in a row. I've got our harness ready to go here. New for week 3. Whoops, stuck to another harness. Is that I've got a leash connected to it already. So we're going to add in the leash to the harness. Oh my goodness, Snickers, you're so big. Snickers is the biggest puppy in this litter. Yeah, we got the big harness for you. You're a happy girl. Okay, so we got both feet in. Oh, I'm going to get my hair stuck in there. There you go. I got the size small harness on her. Oh, get your foot. There we go. All right, so we're going to let her drag the leash. She's still got room to grow in that small harness, but I didn't want her to feel like she was wearing a straitjacket. And we're going to start by letting her drag the leash a little bit while we play the flying cookie game, okay? So we played this game last week. We just added the leash to it this week. Ready? The leash isn't a toy. Go get it. Snickers. Wow, good girl. Go get it. Snickers. Yeah, smarty pants. Go get it. Snickers. Woohoo, good girl. Perfect. All right, so she's not bothered by the leash dragging behind her. So next up, we're going to have her follow the food lure like we've been doing since week 1, but I'm going to pick up the leash. Good girl. I've got the leash and the clicker in one hand. I've got my food lure in the other hand. And we are walking with our puppy on the leash. Right? Good girl, Snickers. Good girl. Spin around. Yeah. Nice job, puppy. There you go. Good girl. Okay, get it. Let's switch hands. So food's going to go in my left hand now, and we're going to have leash and clicker in my right hand. I like to practice both sides. Good girl. Okay, let's walk forward. Yeah, good girl, Snickers. Very good girl. You're doing it. Woohoo! All right, so this is how I like to practice introducing the leash to my puppy. You know, it's kind of cold and snowy outside. Probably not super practical to spend a ton of time out there. Or maybe you live in the city and you don't want to have your puppy spend too much time on the ground just yet until they finish their vaccination series. So, you know, you can do this, easy to do this exercise inside the house. Up and down a hallway, you know, throughout your different rooms. Oh my God, what are you doing? You're a silly girl. Come here, let's take your harness off. So even though you might not be spending a ton of time outside right now because of weather or whatever else, you don't want your puppy to get too old and then all of a sudden, you know, they don't really know what it means to be on the leash. So start to do this right away with your puppy. Good girl. All right, let's move on. Let's do some hand targets. Review some hand targets. Ready, Snickers? Touch. Good girl. Good puppy. Got too many treats with my hand. There you go. Touch. Yeah. Good dog. Snickers, touch. Wow. Look at you. Let's practice a couple sits. Snickers. Sit. Smart girl. Okay, there's our release. Snickers. Sit. What a pretty puppy. What a pretty puppy you are. Okay. Let's do a couple downs. Snickers. Sit. Good girl. Down. Wow. Very good job, puppy. Okay. You're squirmy. Come here, let's try again. Sit. Down. Good job. Aren't you so smart? Okay. Whoa, that one stuck to my finger. All right. girl. She's doing really good with all those behaviors. Let's move on to the mat. So week 3 in the mat, trying to get more of a stay type behavior from these dogs. I'm going to set the mat down on the ground, and then we're going to try to get some distance from them, okay? You got to take a potty break. Wow, what a good dog. Going potty on your pad. Perfect. Okay, here's your mat. Good girl. These puppies are so funny how they just flop themselves right onto the mat. They're so cute. So you can see how I'm just taking a couple steps away before I'm coming back to feed the dog on the mat, okay? Good girl. Wow. And longer duration, right? I'm wanting her to be on the mat for a longer period of time. And because I'm also adding the distance, there are more cookies involved right now, but you just start to fade that over time. Good girl. Look at you. You're a wiggle worm. Okay, there's our release. Let's move the mat. Try it again. So if a stay type behavior is important to you, this is something that you're going to have to keep working on with your dog at home and keep building with your dog at home. Okay. Where's your mat? Good girl. Yeah, face me. There you go. So we've taken just a couple steps away each week at home. You know, you can start to add a couple more. My recommendation is when your puppies go home, you're going to shoot back to week 1. Go back to the week 1 behaviors because your puppy needs to learn how to do all these things with you now, right? So it's not a race. Build up that relationship with your puppy. Good girl. Very good. There you go. And let's release her off. Okay. So you can start to apply this behavior, you know, after a couple weeks at home to different things. My favorite thing to use it for with my own dogs is when we're eating. I will put the mat, or I'll ask my dogs to go to their mat or their bed so they're not like begging from us or being all up, you know, in our business while we're eating. To introduce this, you would set the mat close to you where you're eating. Have a little bowl of the dog's food or whatever you're using for treats. Periodically throughout your meal, you can just take a piece of food and reinforce the dog for being on their mat. As they mature, you can start to move that mat further and further away from you, okay? All right, so let's work now on the crate a little bit. Okay, ready? Okay, no, you're not gonna go behind the crate, you silly girl. Come here. Snickers, kennel. Wow, you just fit in here still. Good girl. So this week we added closing the door. Okay, once the door is closed, same thing. You can still feed, you know, drop food in there, whatever. But when you go to open up the door, watch what I do. I'm going to mark and feed the dog for staying in the kennel. Then, okay, release them out. Let's do that again. Kennel. Wow, Dakota, good girl. Oh my God, this isn't Dakota, this is Snickers. Good girl, Snickers. Dakota was the last puppy. That was down here. Good girl, Snickers. Okay. 8 puppies, you'd think I'd mix them up more often. Snickers, kennel. Good dog. Look at you. Close our doors. This will be our last rep. I think one time there was a puppy that I called the wrong name through the whole recap video. Good girl. Okay. Good job. All right, let's be done with this for now. And the very last thing that we practiced with these puppies for week 3, introducing noisy grooming tool. Okay, so I've got clipper blades here. I want to practice turning them on, make sure that the puppies aren't freaked out by the sound. because we want to make sure that they're okay and comfortable with the sound of the grooming tools before their first grooming visit, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn them on, set them down on the ground, and then I'm just going to start to toss some food down on the ground, maybe 2 or 3 pieces, right? Let her eat the food. She might want to check the clipper blades out, but once she eats the food or finishes the food, then I'm going to turn them off. There is still one one treat on the ground, but she's sniffing the clipper blades right now. Oh my God, you're so funny. Yeah, there's your cookie. Good girl. Okay, once all the food is gone, I'm going to turn them off. And now I'm going to wait like 15, 30, 45 seconds, a good chunk of time before I turn them back on and repeat the exercise, okay? I really want to make sure that if they want to check them out while they're off, they have the opportunity to do so, and also that they are making the strong association that the clipper blades turning on is what produces the food, and making sure that doesn't happen too close together. Did you just burp? Are you getting full? All right, so let's try that again. Turn those on. I'm gonna drop a couple pieces on the ground. Good girl. And this is what I want to see, is that it's just like the clipper blades being turned on just really isn't a big deal to the dog, okay? So she finished that last piece. Let's turn them off. Because this is, you know, ultimately something that she will need to be handled with, we can also do like we did last week with the nail clippers and practice petting her with them. Yes, good puppy. Good girl. You do that a couple times in a row. Yes, good girl. If the dog is fine with both of those steps, as Snickers has been, then you can try pairing it together, turning them on and just petting her quickly. Yes, good girl. Go get it. All right. So again, this is something that I will kind of continue to do with the puppy throughout puppyhood and even adolescence, maybe at least once a week. Even if their first grooming visit, everything goes well, I want to make sure that I maintain the dog feeling comfortable and confident around the grooming tools throughout their, you know, kind of formative months of maturing, to make sure that it never becomes a problem, right? So if you don't plan on grooming your puppy at home and you're gonna like take them to a groomer or something, which most people do, you don't need to go out and buy a pair of clipper blades. If you don't have a pair, you can just use anything that kind of makes that buzzing sound. I've used an electric toothbrush before. You might want to pop it in like a Ziploc baggie or something to make sure that you're not rubbing your toothbrush on the dog or letting it roll around on the ground if it's also a toothbrush that you're using, right? So that's a creative idea if you don't have the clipper blades. But again, you can get creative and use anything that uses that buzzing kind of noise. Are you sleepy now? Look at this cute puppy. All right, but Snickers did great for these last 3 weeks. Make sure you get her Zoom lesson booked. And if you have any questions, shoot us an email.